We have arrived at the famous Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, just on the outskirts of Milan, for the running of the Italian Grand Prix, the final European race of the season. Coming into this week, 4 drivers have been dominating all the headlines this week. The first team news of the day is a huge one, as it has been announced that 2009 World Champion Miklos Gal will be leaving Red Bull after 9 seasons with the team and will be going back to their sister team ALPHATAURI in the shock move. Miklos is having another good season despite not having the best start to the season. He currently lies 3rd in the Drivers' Championship, 39 points behind INDYCAR, and his current team Red Bull lies 2nd in the Constructors, nearly 200 points behind Mercedes. Miklos' move back to Red Bull's sister team may be seen by people as a bizarre move. However, as we alluded to in the pilot episode, Miklos aims to help turn ALPHATAURI around and hopes to make them as competitive and maybe better than Red Bull in terms of pace, like in 2008 when the team was known as Toro Rosso, which ironically was the last time Miklos drove for the team. Miklos will be looking to have a great end to the season and hopes to have a brilliant 2021 with ALPHATAURI. As a result of this news, it means that at least one current ALPHATAURI driver will be leaving the team at the end of the season, with both David Kupok and Chris Chatfield looking more likely to duke it out in the remaining 8 races in order to get retained. Both of them have backup choices should they miss out, with David having Alfa Romeo as a backup and Chris having Ferrari as a backup. However, both of these teams have stiff competition, so it could be a win or bust situation for both of them, but we will have to wait and see. In terms of who will replace Miklos Gal at Red Bull, that has also been confirmed, as it has been announced that 5-time race winner George Roque will be making a welcome return to the team in 2021. George has had an amazing 2020 with him having the season of his life. He currently lies 4th in the Drivers' Championship, 12 points ahead of Franco Gamba, and his current team Racing Point lies 3rd in the Constructors, 53 points ahead of Renault. George's highest moment this season obviously came at Hockenheim, where after 8 seasons away from the top step, he finally managed to grab his 5th career win, leading home a Racing Point 1-2. George, as we mentioned earlier, will be returning to Red Bull for the first time since 2006, and it also happened to be the team that he got his first ever pole position. He'll be over the moon to know that he'll be returning to the Milton Keynes-based team, and he'll be hoping the team is competitive enough to be fighting for the title in 2021. In terms of who his teammate will be for 2021, it looks likely that Franco Gamba will get retained, which would reunite the pair of them for the first time since 2018 when they were at HAAS. However, due to his up and down season in 2020, there is a chance that Franco could get dropped, with current DTM Championship contender Daniel Adventure should he miss out on Aston Martin, and current Manor driver Rosetta Martinez should he miss out on Lamborghini, being shocking candidates to potentially replace Franco. In terms of who could replace George Roque at the rebranded Aston Martin, that looks to be a straight fight between current GP2 Championship leader Aaron Curtis and current DTM Championship contenders Julius Anderson and Daniel Adventure. It will be interesting to see where this one ends up developing for both teams. The third team news of the day concerns HAAS, as they have announced that current Manor driver and 2019 Formula E champion AMELIA Wilson will be joining the team in 2021. AMELIA has had an amazing rookie season despite this year's Manor not being competitive in their final season. She currently lies 18th in the Drivers' Championship, 4 points ahead of Jamie Griffiths, and her current team Manor lie 10th in the Constructors, with her new employers HAAS being the only team yet to score this season. AMELIA's highest point this season came just last week when she scored her first ever points in the top class, finishing 7th, ensuring that Manor scored points in their final season. AMELIA will be happy to know that she will have a drive in 2021, especially with an American team, and she'll be looking to turn the team around and steer them in the right direction. She will replace DUDU KURBHI, who will be retiring from the OC as a whole at the end of the season. In terms of who her teammate will be, Daniel Fraser still has a chance of being retained. However, given his rocky rookie season, he could be dropped, with the likes of GP2 Championship contender Luca Farina and former HAAS drivers Jared Fosbury and Bartosz Kloss being contenders for that second seat. It will be interesting to see whether HAAS retain Daniel or drop him for 2021. The fourth and final team news of the day concerns Alfa Romeo, as they have announced that Italian ANDREA FEDERI will remain with the team for another season. ANDREA has had an outstanding season despite this year's Sauber dropping back compared to last season. He currently lies 11th in the Drivers' Championship, having overtaken 3 drivers in the standings last week, and his team Alfa Romeo lie 8th in the Constructors, 6 points behind ALPHATAURI. In the last couple of races, ANDREA has had some brilliant points finishes, with him finishing 7th in Hungary and finishing 6th in Belgium. ANDREA will be happy to be retained by the team for another season, and he'll be looking to help improve the team in the first season of the fantasy era. His teammate is still a huge question mark, given the number of contenders fighting for that seat. Gabriel Gomez could still get retained by the team for another season, however he could get dropped, with the likes of current GP2 Championship contenders Aaron Curtis, Rahul Patel, Hoang Min Nguyen, Ruslan Proksiuk and Jesus Perinen, current ALPHATAURI driver David Kupok, and current DTM Championship leader Roman Quark being some of the long list of contenders who could nab the seat away from Gabriel. It will be interesting to see which way this ends up for 2021. The final bit of news today concerns the big announcement that happened this past Sunday, as it was announced by Yuri that GP4 OC would have a massive tier revamp from 2021. This revamp will include the tiering system for each series being scrapped, with GP2 still continuing to act as a feeder series to the top class. However, DTM, Formula E and soon to be INDYCAR, which was confirmed to be replacing BTCC from 2021, will be acting as alternate series for drivers to create a different path in their OC career. Rookies will still be eligible to compete in these series along with GP2, however they will spread across all 4 of these series. GP2 will still be only eligible for drivers who have never competed in the top class, however the new INDYCAR series, which will still be open to rookies, will mainly consist of experienced drivers should there be enough experienced drivers signing up. The Indy 500 will not be a part of this championship and it will instead act as a separate entity. On top of this, Formula E will no longer be an equal car series in 2021 as a result of the tiering system being scrapped. However, it will not be in the same way as the top class. It will act in a similar way to how it is in real life, so there should still be close racing. Speaking of the top class, the injury system will be returning from 2021, however not in the same way as it was in the past. It will act in a realistic and fairer way to ensure no one abuses the system. On top of this, the top class will also introduce an end of season test for the first time in its series' history, with a test mainly for test drivers and any new drivers a team has signed up for the following season. It's a very exciting time for the OC, and along with the fantasy era, it should make things very interesting. And that is it for this week's edition of the GP4 OC News. The next team news will break at the Korean Grand Prix next week, who will be announced during to practice next Tuesday at Yeognam. Hello everybody and welcome to the practice session here for round 14 of the 2020 GP4 Offline Championship. We are here at Monza for the Italian Grand Prix, the final European race of the season. Maybe if the new round 16 happens to be a new European track, then it's the penultimate one. Who knows really? But I am JW97, your commentator, and alongside me today we have Dennis Graff. How are you doing?
Hello, good evening. I'm doing fine. How about you, Joe?
Yeah, doing very well indeed. Well, we're getting underway for the practice session. We didn't even need asking for that. But we're going to get underway with this practice session. You've just seen the news videos that have just come out. 4 drivers. We'll get onto them in just a little bit. But we're going to get on with practice here. And hopefully things should work out pretty well. Now, one thing I do need to point out as well, there is a test driver in the car for today. That is Hento Sinanem. He'll be driving the McLaren today in place of Joseph Wallows for practice, because Joseph, of course, is lower in the championship compared to Kirishima DeRosa. That's how, obviously, the test driver Simpson works. And as you may have noticed just there, in fact, the Ferrari, as we've talked about quite a few times, have got a special livery for this one. It is the livery they ran at the real-life 2020 Tuscan Grand Prix, the Burgundy livery. Because we don't have Mugello on this calendar, we instead transferred the livery over to the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. So they instead were in the Burgundy livery at their home race instead here at Monza. Whether the special livery curse comes to bite them on this occasion, we'll have to wait and see. Jamie Griffiths is the first driver to come out onto the racetrack, as he'll now make his way towards the first chicane now then on the racetrack. Flicks the car in through the right and left-hander. And so obviously, if you didn't see the news, what happened, of course, the news that obviously came out today was...
I think you just cut off there, Joe. Joe's still here. So yeah.
I think Joe is suffering from Discord issues for the moment.
Joe's not. So yeah, I will take over. It's me, the graph remover. Yeah. As you've seen in the news, Miklos Gal no surprise, but still surprised somehow, is going back to ALPHATAURI for the first time since 2008, when it was Toro Rosso. So I would say shocking move and weird move, but he decided for it, and yeah, I think he knows what he wants to do.
Discord decided to disconnect on me. I don't know if you can hear me, by the way.
Yes, we can.
Yup.
Okay, yeah, my Discord decided to disconnect on me for some reason. I think my internet decided to have a bit of a moment. But yes, Miklos Gau is returning to ALPHATAURI, as you pointed out, for the first time in, 12 seasons, in fact. It's going to be, 13 seasons when we get to 2021. It's probably going to be seen by some, as we mentioned, as a bit of a bizarre move because of the fact that...
I think it's happening as Jamie Griffiths completed the first sector on his lap.
Did I just go off again there? Because you did talk over me.
Yes, you did.
Oh, okay, sorry. I don't know what's going on today. Really. So let me close a few tabs. In fact, let's see if that helps that with things. So anyway, I don't know why I'm having trouble today, but anyway, we've got Martinez, who's currently trying to, holding up a Renault at the moment. But yeah, Miklos obviously wants to turn the team around if he can, and hopefully try and make them as competitive, maybe better than Red Bull, given we are moving into the fantasy era, as Griffiths just comes around Parabolica now then, or as we've got to name it now, the Michele Alboreto curve. Don't know why, but anyway, as Jamie Griffiths comes down the straight, and he's going to cross the line, and it's a 1:23.592, I should say, in the end there, but it gets beaten by over a second by Gal, and then by Franco Gamba, the home favourite. He'll be looking to put on a show in front of his home fans. Who, let's not forget, the last two races he's taken pole position, Dennis.
Yeah, he has had great qualifying pace, but sadly in the races it didn't turn out well for him, especially last time out in Spa, where he crashed after Rouge. Got collected by AMELIA. So yeah, hopefully he can turn this around the races.
Yeah, indeed, as Griffiths just comes out the second Lesmo there, then as he'll now make his way down towards the Ascavi chicane. And so at the moment, Franco Gamba coming at the top. But also the other news that came out as well was that Red Bull were very quick to find a replacement, because after much speculation, it has been finally officially confirmed that George Roke will be heading back to Red Bull for the first time since 2006. He'll be returning to the Milton Keynes base team for the first time since 2021. And judging from the live stream chat, I think it's fair to say that George was very happy about this announcement.
He absolutely deserves it. Again, for the first time of seasons.
Oh, I thought it was me for a minute there that was having those problems, but it's Dennis. You're having it as well, Yuri. Okay, fair enough. Whilst we wait for Dennis to try and fix these problems, we just saw Griffiths just coming out the first chicane there. I'll try and go briefly. So, obviously George returning there for the first time since 2006. Obviously, quite ironically, it was the team that he got his first ever pole position with back in 2006. It was also where Evan Byrne got his first pole position as well, when he was briefly teammates with George in the back end of 2006. So quite an interesting fact if you didn't know about that in the OC. Their first pole position for Red Bull came in 2006, not when the team started to get competitive, as Galloway gets up into third position. But as you were saying there, Dennis, I don't know if you've got your microphone working now, George seemed very happy with that announcement. It seems he hasn't got his mic working at the moment. Cause,
well, I'm going to join the commentary for a bit then.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, now I'm hearing some sounds.
Oh, yeah, some buzzing sounds. I'm hearing that as well. As Gal now then makes his way.
Yeah, my mic's weird.
There you go, we can hear you. So, as we were saying,
nice.
Roke seemed pretty happy with that announcement.
Yep, indeed.
As Griffiths is now going to cross the line, and we're not going to look at that. We're instead going to look at Galloway, who's going to try and find a way through on the man who has been retained by Alfa Romeo for next season, that being ANDREA FEDERI. I don't think it's too much of a surprise, Dennis. I think it was pretty obvious that FEDERI was going to get retained, but it has so far been a very good season for him, especially considering that Alfa Romeo, despite the car they've had, currently putting themselves 6 points behind ALPHATAURI in the Constructors.
Yeah, so far it's been a great season for Alfa Romeo. They have been in the points positions a lot of time already this season, which wasn't expected. They're doing a great job, especially FEDERI, who's, I think he's actually 11th in the championship, but I'm not sure.
Indeed, he is 11th in the championship. He managed to leapfrog, I think, 3 drivers in the last race, thanks to his brilliant 6th position in Belgium, whilst his good friend Franco Gamba at the moment is currently on improving as we speak. Of course, he did reveal as well, Franco, that unfortunately Andrea is currently suffering from COVID at the moment, so we do wish him very well and hope he makes a speedy recovery. And so hopefully he has a very good Italian Grand Prix. I think, as Franco said, he'll be happy with the fact that he's getting retained for another season. Although there is a big question mark surrounding who his teammate would be, because we've known for a while, and it seems to be a bit of a repeating pattern with Alfa Romeo in the last few seasons. They've got a very, very long list of contenders who could be at Alfa Romeo next season. Of course, Gomez could still get retained, but he could get booted out with that long list of contenders that were mentioned in the news video. So I think it's going to be interesting to see where that one heads, really, Dennis.
Yeah, indeed, I don't know, I had just a bit of a lag here. Is my sound okay?
Oh, okay. I was saying that there seems to be a long list of contenders with Alfa Romeo. So it's a bit of a question on who for... Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting to see where that one heads, really, in terms of who's going to get that seat.
Yeah, that's very interesting, of course. There are some drivers who have the second choice as Alfa Romeo, or ALFA. But yeah, we need to wait to see what happens.
For the remainder of the season. And Dennis, you there?
Yes. I didn't heard anything from it, so yeah.
I was just saying to Yuri, you might need to have a look at Amelia's helmet, because it looks like it's upside down. Because Amelia, for the remainder of the season, is running a new helmet, and I'm pretty sure she'll also carry on that helmet for 2021. Because speaking of Amelia, she was also announced today that she will be driving in the top class again for 2021. Because we know that Mano are pulling out at the end of the season, she'll be driving for HAAS next season. The American driver going to the American team. It seems to be a perfect fit, you'd have to say, Dennis.
Yeah, it's perfect fit indeed. Of course, she definitely deserves it. She had a great season so far, but despite not scoring points until last time out in Spa, where she finally scored her first points. So yeah, I think that the reward for a good season.
Indeed so, and for some reason, Flores hidden his account that he created for some reason in the stream chat. So, moving on, as we now look at Franco Gamba, who's making his way towards the Parabolica. Who's got one of the Mercedes right behind him at this point in time. Gamba currently at the top of the timing sheets. Of course, as mentioned, he has taken pole position in the last 2 races. I think a lot of people are probably going to be a bit surprised that he hasn't been announced this week for Red Bull, because you would have thought that given Miklos has gone to ALPHATAURI now, you would have thought that Gamba would have been confirmed to be alongside Roke. But it turns out not the case, really. He has had a very rocky season, has Franco, and the shocking list of contenders who could replace him may add to that fact. I think it's more likely that Franco will get retained, but there is obviously that fear that maybe the likes of Adventure or even Martinez, to a shocking surprise, could try and boot him out.
Yeah, Franco really needs to watch his back, because if that would happen, that would be a huge shock. Franco, of course, would be absolutely disappointed, but let's don't hope for that. especially not at his home race here. So I think he's the candidate for the second Red Bull seat.
Yeah, indeed. Whether he will get retained, I think he will get retained personally, but you never know. Yes, of course, things usually can change in the OC from week to week, but we'll have to wait and see. As Garber now then makes his way towards the Parabolica now, then he always seems to be up in the first sector, but never able to pick it up in the last two sectors, I guess, because there's not really that many corners in the first sector, really. It's all really in the middle sector where you gain or lose all the time. And, of course, one thing to bear in mind as well in qualifying, slipstream could be a thing as well to bear in mind, so keep an eye on that one. Here is Hento Sinonome, the man, of course, who's driving in the car today in place of Joseph Wellers. Of course, Joseph will be back in the car for qualifying, but for practice, of course, this is Hento Sinonome's booked session, so that's why he's in the McLaren. Does anybody remember when it was meant to be Jake Galloway that was supposed to be the McLaren test driver before all that stuff with fake names happened? And that allowed Galloway, of course, to get the Renault seat because, of course, Galloway had Renault as his number one choice for 2020. So, and that's how Hento ended up getting the McLaren test seat and all of that, really. Because they were, originally, Jake and Hento were meant to be teammates in GP2 before all that happened. So, I guess in a way they just transferred the McLaren livery over to the other driver, fair to say. But anyway, as Garber now then makes his way down the back straight, as we've got a long queue of cars down this back straight before heading towards Parabolica. And just see in the background, look, the Burgundy Ferrari, of course, the special livery that Ferrari is running for their home race this week, the same livery that they ran in the real-life 2020 Tuscan Grand Prix. So it's going to be interesting to see whether the livery curse will strike for them or not. But anyway, as Franco Garber now then makes his way towards the Parabolica, as he will now make his way down the pit straight, and looks like he's not going to improve again on this lap. As Garber now then is going to cross the line. Let's see what the Italian can manage, and he does not improve. He just seems to always lose time in the remaining two, never in the first sectors. Carl tried to get some slipstream from, I believe that was Amelia Wilson in front, but Carl not able to do that, really. Carl now then makes his way through the first chicane. As we now look at David Kupok now then, and he's a man like with Chris Chatfield. He'll need to be probably watching his back, because we now know from the news about Miklos Gal that at least one of the current ALPHATAURI drivers will be leaving the team at the end of the season. So both Kupok and Chatfield will probably want to watch their backs if they want to get retained by the team for another season. I've seen a lot of people saying that Kupok's probably going to be the person to get retained by ALPHATAURI, but I wouldn't rule out Chris Chatfield just yet, Dennis. I think Dennis has disappeared again, so it seems that his mic problems are still persisting, it seems. As meantime, Miklos Gal, you're back now. You did catch what I just said there, Dennis, didn't you?
Yeah. Okay, as did. I think Chatfield still hasn't just retained. And beat Kupok. That's the easy thing.
As the lagging still continues on.
Not so easy thing, because Kupok has quite a good season.
Oh, indeed, but it will be interesting to see who ends up partnering alongside Miklos. I did catch that last bit, by the way, Dennis. I did catch that last bit. So I don't know if you've got a dodgy wire on your microphone or whatever, but you did mention it was a bit weird. So as Franco Garber now then is coming back into the pits this lap, so he'll try and get on a fresh pair of boots. In the top deck of tyres, for anybody wondering, the tyres we are using for this week will be the soft tyres here at Monza, and given that this is mainly a high-speed track, it could be very interesting to see with degradation, as we had some improvements there. De Rosa is in 8th, and Motrin goes up into 2nd place in the racing points. So Motrin gets up to P2, and Motrin is a man who will want to forget what happened in Belgium, because you could say he may have bottled a chance at victory at Belgium, because he was right up with Carr and Franco Garber, and well, I think Motrin will want to forget that race ever happened in his mind.
Dick very disappointed that it didn't work out for him. As he wanted. Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah.
His teammate, meanwhile, George Roke, has just gone up into 7th place, or current teammate, I should say, because of course ROKE will be moving to Red Bull next season, which will mean that there will be that Roland will be having a new teammate next season at Aston Martin. Of course, the candidates point towards Aaron Curtis, Julius Anderson, and Daniel Adventure right now. Of course, Adventure has Red Bull as a backup, as we alluded to a little bit earlier on. So it will be interesting to see who ends up being Motrin's teammate. If you would have to guess at this point, Dennis, who do you think will be Motrin's teammate at this point?
At this stage of the season, I would say Aaron Curtis. He's had a brilliant GP2 season so far. And yeah, of course, he's starting on pole here in Monza. But yeah, I think... Yeah, I forgot what to say. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say that he did add 4 points to his championship tally as a result of getting pole yesterday. Whether he can get the win or not, you'll have to find out later on tonight at 7 p.m. as we look at DUDU KURBHI, who we, as we found out earlier, we now know who's going to be replacing him at HAAS. It is, of course, AMELIA Wilson. But KURBHI, in the remaining races he's got, is going to cross the line, and he does not improve. Now, whilst we are here, of course, we might as well talk about a couple of other things as well, because for anybody who didn't see the big announcement that came this past Sunday, it was announced that the OC is having a tier revamp in 2021. And what I mean by that is that the tier system is going to be scrapped from next season. So, as we know right now, we have a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and tier 5 system currently going on with all the series. Well, forget about that. That's not going to be a thing from next season, because DTM, Formula E, and the new INDYCAR series, well, we say INDYCAR, it's currently a placeholder name at this point. It will have a different name by the time the 2021 season comes about. But they're going to act as like alternate series, you could say, in a way, for anybody who wants to pursue a different path in their OC career. It doesn't just have to be F1. It doesn't mean that they won't be able to go into F1 in the future. It just gives them the option to do that. And in terms of rookies entering in the OC, well, it gives them the flexibility of choosing any of the other series bar the top class, really. Well, it's not like they can't choose the top class, because they can. It just be a little bit less likely they'll get in the top class, like it has been for the last number of seasons now in the top class, really. But it does give them the option of being in GP2, DTM, FE, and INDYCAR a little bit more easier for them now, you could say. And you will see rookies being spread across those 4 series, really. GP2 is still going to act as the feeder series to the top class. That's not going to change. So the rules about how you apply for that series are going to remain the same in terms of that you have to have no top class experience to be able to take part in that series, and in the case of Nicholas Zorbach, have ensured that you haven't done a full season in the top class. In some cases, for some drivers, like the case of Nicholas Zorbach and Bruno de Barros and not Victor Robo. I was thinking of someone else there, Renjans.
Bobo did complete his full season.
No, I said his name by mistake. I was meant to say Renjans. I don't know why I got those two.
Yeah, I know.
But anyway, so that was the saying. INDYCAR, whilst rookies will be allowed to compete in that series, it will mainly consist of experienced drivers, should there be enough experienced drivers signing up for those series, as that is. But you should still expect the odd rookie to be in that series, along with FE, DTM, and GP2, but expect more rookies to be in those series, with the odd few being in INDYCAR, so to speak. So expect that, really. So it gives a little bit of a balance, you could say. On top of that as well, Formula E is no longer going to be an equal car series like we've known it to be for the last few series. It will act similar to how it is in real life, a little bit tweaked, you could say. So still expect the close racing, just don't expect it to be like the top class. So yeah, expect the close racing to still be there. There was nothing about GP2 and DTM that was announced, for good reason, because Yuri is going to allow Flo to do that at a later date. When that will be, you'll have to wait and see. But he does have some things about GP2 and DTM in the pipeline to talk about, so be aware of that one as going through the first chicane due to KURBHI. So in your opinion, Dennis, because it seemed to be a very positive reaction, what are your thoughts on this tier revamp? I think he kind of has gone silent again, so I'll wait for him to come back on that one. As Galloway goes up, I think he got a little bit of help. I think your mic is just playing up a lot today, Dennis. I don't know what's going on. But, yeah, what do you think of this new tier revamp, Dennis?
Yeah, it sounds very exciting, especially with the new INDYCAR series, which needs a official name, but yeah, call it INDYCAR for now. yeah, so with Formula E. Yeah, I've lost, just got lost words.
Yeah, so anyway, apologies for all the issues that we're having so far in this stream. Lots just technical problems that beyond our control at this point in time, really. But anyway, DUDU KURBHI is now coming down the pit straight. He might have got a little bit of healthy slipstream from the racing point in front. I don't know if this track has still got the little pit entry issue, because I know that Flo was working on it for GP2, but I know that both GP2 and the top class use different versions of Monza. So I don't know if Flo did some work on the pit entry for this one or not. But anyway, if Gal is struggling to get by on the Alfa Romeo there, that is ANDREA FEDERI. They want to get past him as quick as possible, really, because he'll be starting a lap very, very soon. And so now make their way towards the Scottish again. So now look at DUDU KURBHI now then, who finds himself down in the first sector. And Gal is able to find a way through on FEDERI there, just got by him, but FEDERI is coming into the pits anyway. But I think given that pit lane entry, I think Gal would have preferred to get ahead of FEDERI at that point in time. Another thing I do want to bring up as well, guys, and we may have alluded to it a little bit earlier on, but for anybody who didn't say, the brand new round 16 for both the 2020 and 2021 seasons will be revealed next week via the OC News at the Korean Grand Prix. Now, before anybody tries to get any clues out of me, you won't be able to, because as we speak right now, Yuri has not told me what it is. He'll be telling me at the weekend. I guess he did that on purpose, really, so that I didn't give out any hints. So he will be revealing it to me by this weekend, and then you guys will find out next week. So there has been the odd suggestion flying about from some people on Discord. I've seen people saying potentially Sepang potentially coming back as one of the names that I saw. I don't know if anybody else put any other suggestions down on Discord, but it will be interesting. If I had to ask you, Dennis, hopefully your mic is working on this occasion. If I had to ask you, Dennis, what do you believe will be the new round 16 in your opinion?
That's quite an interesting question. Yeah, I don't have an answer for that at the moment. The Sepang seems to be quite favorable. Also, I think maybe India, but I'm not sure.
I do remember back when the Korean Grand Prix got announced, so a lot of people were also hoping for India if Korea wasn't there. So potentially India could be there, as meanwhile Lopez is in P4, but it will be interesting to see. As I said, I don't know what the track is at the moment. Yuri has not revealed it to me yet. He's revealing it to me at the weekend, I guess, to ensure that I don't, as mentioned, give out any hints. I did say that Lopez went up to 4th, but now Gal has gone up into 4th position. So I would say that the top 4 is consisted of Mercedes and Red Bulls, but it's currently being ruined at the moment by Roland Motrin, who's up in 2nd position at this point in time, just under a 10th behind Franco Gamba. As DUDU KURBHI now makes his way through the final turn in the HAAS there then, as he'll now make his way down the pitch straight. KURBHI currently down in last position, the only person so far to be over 2 seconds behind Franco Gamba. And speaking of Gamba, he's currently being overtaken at the moment by Armar Carr, hoping he's got enough slipstream to try and maybe get himself a little bit higher in the field, but it doesn't quite work out. He remains in 3rd position. David Cupot, meanwhile, has gone up into 9th. He's got ahead of the McLaren test driver, Hento Sinanome, as DUDU KURBHI now then makes his way through the Curva Grande. And with just under 6 minutes to go in this practice session before we head off to the qualifying session. And of course, Wilson's helmet should hopefully get fixed by the time qualifying comes about, for anybody wondering, because I know that that helmet looks a bit glitchy. Some people have mentioned that in the stream chat, but yeah, Yuri will get that sorted out before qualifying, because Amelia does have a brand new helmet for the remainder of the season. But yeah, Griffiths did improve. I was just about to say that. Yes, he's improved, and he's only 1,000th behind Laura Chung. Now, I will bring up with Ferrari, because a lot of people were saying last week in Belgium that they may struggle due to their power disadvantage. How much a difference a year makes compared to their 2019 engineers say. I think when you look at Monza, they probably could suffer here as well, because even though it's their home race, it's mainly about power around here at Monza, and Ferrari's disadvantage down the straight is not going to help them, I don't think.
Yeah, I think Ferrari, as you said, will struggle here. Also, the other teams with Ferrari engines could have a bit of a problem here. Yeah, it will be difficult race for them. I'm pretty sure.
Indeed, we have just under 5 minutes to go in the session. I think all the Ferrari teams, I mean, totally honest with you, Dennis, are probably going to suffer as well. Not just Ferrari. I think Alfa Romeo and
I said that.
may struggle this week. Yeah. Oh, I didn't quite catch that. I do apologise there, Dennis. Anyways, now Dudu Kirby comes around the Curva Grande, and he now will make his way towards the chicane, but he's coming back into the pits this lap, so this lap's not going to matter too much. Mr. Kirby, as he will now make his way towards the two Lesmo corners of Lesmo 1, and then into Lesmo 2 he will now go, the near 90-degree right-hander, as he will use a lot of curve on the outside there, making his way down towards the Ascari chicane. And so now making his way towards Ascari, he'll be heading back into the pits. This lap, as mentioned earlier, he's just flicking the car in. We'll see him come into the pits in a moment. So far, there's 5 other people in the pits as we speak. Roland Motrin, Mikel Scout, Roberto Gamba, Amelia Wilson, and Gabriel Gomez. So they are the people currently in the pit lane as we speak. And of course, it will be interesting to see a little bit later on in qualifying how that one plays out, especially with the risk of slipstream that could have a massive impact on somebody's lap. We saw it a little bit yesterday as well during the GP2 qualifying, how much slipstream could really help around here on this track. Not in the case of Hazer Perinin, he was able to get onto the front row without the need of any slipstream, which is a bit of a surprise to me. But anyway, we saw that Carl wasn't able to improve a little bit earlier on, and now riding on board with Andrea FEDERI, the man who will be staying at Alfa Romeo for next season. The two Manners are trying to give each other some slipstream as Martinez tries to go on the inside of Wilson there, but Wilson's saying no to that. They've also got the team that Amelia will be going to next season, one of the HAAS currently behind as we speak. As we look at FEDERI again, who's making his way towards the Parabolica. Got, I believe that's Laura Chung behind him at the moment. I believe that is the blue helmet of Chung.
Yes, it is, because Roberto Gamba's in the pits.
Okay, fair enough then. The Burgundy Ferrari. As FEDERI now they make his way down, just on the track as we were speaking there. So as FEDERI now then makes his way onto the pit straight, and he does improve. In fact, he wasn't up on his best in the middle sector, but it seems to have found a little bit in that last sector. But still down in 19th, only just ahead of his teammate Gomez. So only 19th and 20th for the Alfa Romeos. They did struggle a little bit in qualifying last week. Let's not forget. In Belgium, but because of what happened in that crazy Belgian Grand Prix, which still resulted in a Mercedes 1-2 somehow, and still somehow resulted in, and still George Roach somehow didn't manage to have a massive crash. We're going to have a little bit of a free wide moment through here briefly as Fraser gets by both of the Manners there. He wasn't wasting any time whatsoever, and they've got one of the Renaults behind. We expect the Renaults to probably be quite strong around here because you know how draggy that Renault is. And of course the Mercedes-powered cars are expected to do well, and even the Honda-powered cars as well. So expect them to do well as Martinez is trying to get back at the HAAS of Daniel Fraser. As Martinez now then makes his way towards the first chicane. Fraser, a man who you could say is a little bit under pressure right now, of course. Could he end up being Amelia's teammate next season? That's going to be a little bit of a question mark. He has had a bit of a rocky season, it's fair to say, in his first season in the top class. So whether he'll stay or not is another question. Of course, we did mention in the news video that there are 3 contenders who could boot him out. They include Luca Farina, Jared Fosbury, who in fact is the current HAAS test driver, and former HAAS driver in fact, and also a former HAAS driver, Bartsch Kloss, as Jamie Griffiths overtakes Evan Byrne into the second chicane there. As Laura Chung crosses the line, does not improve. We have just over a minute left, and I just realised Roland Motrin will just be able to get one more lap before the session comes to a close. As ROKE now then comes towards the Parabolica. Let's see what the future Red Bull driver can do as he'll now make his way onto the pit straight now then, and ROKE is going to cross the line. And let's see what the Racing Point driver can achieve with this lap. He does not improve. Here comes Amar Khan in the Mercedes across the line. He will go now then, no improvement for him. David Kupok onto the pit straight, he will now go. And across the line will go the ALPHATAURI driver. No improvement for him. DUDU Kirby will just get enough time to do one more flying lap as Martinez is heading back into the pit, same with Daniel Fraser. And that doesn't compromise Galloway, so I wonder if Flo did find a fix with that, because Jake didn't lift off the throttle there, although he did get held up by Fraser throughout the entirety of that lap. Just one of those occasions, I guess. Okay, so no improvement from Flo there, but an improvement for Gomez. He gets up into 16th position as the seconds tick by. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1,
0 won't make it.
Checkered flag is out, Henter will not make it, so, and Gomez is the last one to cross the line. Roberto Garma, meanwhile, gets up into 10th position, so as mentioned earlier, Gomez was the last one to cross the line. His teammate, Andrea FEDERI, is currently on an improvement, as the Italian now then makes his way onto the pit straight, and FEDERI now then crosses the line, and he loses time in the last sector, does not improve, remains in 20th. Laura Chung remains where she is at the moment, which is P number 14 at the moment. Here comes Roland Motrin. Across the line will go the Hungarian driver, and Motrin crosses the line now, then currently P2, stays in P2 at this point in time. His teammate George Rowe rounds the parabolica now then, as he makes his way onto the pit straight. And let's see what George Rowe is able to retrieve on this lap now then, as he will now cross the line. No improvement for him. INDYCAR crosses the line in the Mercedes, and no improvement for him either. David Cupot goes into the pits. Here comes DUDU. KURBHI is on improvement. Let's see if he can try and reduce the gap between himself and Franco Gamba. Across the line then will go the Brazilian, and he does reduce the gap. Now all the drivers are now within 2 seconds of each other, under 2 seconds I should say. Jake Galloway comes down the pit straight. Across the line will go the British driver, who's having an incredible rookie season, of course heading to Ferrari next season, so he'll get the experience of the Tifosi cheering for him. He does not improve, nor does Amelia Wilson. Here comes Evan Byrne. He doesn't improve. Gomez has crashed.
Gomez.
To finish the lap. Gomez has crashed at the last corner. So what on earth has happened here then?
I think he just went wide in parabolica.
Let's have a look then. So we're going to get a replay hopefully soon, and that will be the end of the session. So let's have a look. It did look like some understeer from the Brazilian. So going around parabolica, and oversteer just right there. You just saw him twitch there, and it just spears the car to the gravel, and in fact the car spontaneously combust. It didn't even need to hit the barrier.
Yeah. The tires, the front wheel, the front wing, I mean, just destroyed on the gravel. So yeah. He would have hit the wall anyway, but there's even more damage. All these goddamn damages.
Indeed. But that is the end of the session, and it is Franco Gamba at the top with Motrin in second and INDYCAR in third. So what do you make of that session overall, Dennis?
Yeah, it was quite a good session. I was about to say without any crashes or something, but then Gomez just destroyed that. Yeah, let's see who will be ahead in qualifying.
Indeed, it should be very interesting, and keep an eye on that slipstream. We're going to take a brief pause for the moment. We'll start up a fresh stream, and hopefully we won't have any issues, unlike today in this practice session with the commentary. But in the meantime, I'll be GW97. He's been Dennis, and we'll see you in just a little bit for the qualifying session. See you in a bit.